That's why I used to kick Michael Holly's ass in franchise mode, because he has no idea how to build a team.
We got no pictures.
Charles Robinson.
We got no records. Where are the archives? Where are your receipts?
Are the Packers going to use?
You got no receipts on this.
One of their two second-round picks or a third-round pick on a wide receiver, so people like Michael Holly can shut the hell up whining about them not taking a first-rounder. What if Devontae Wyatt ends up being Reggie freaking White? Rest in peace.
People like, I don't know, Charles. People like Michael Holly and Aaron Rodgers.
Educate this dude, please.
And educate Aaron Rodgers too. And educate Aaron Rodgers about how he lost Devontae Adams and now
why are you so butthurt because they didn't take a first-round wide receiver?
And Scantling. But
like,
anyway,
who cares?
All right, go ahead.
Who cares what round they come in?
Go ahead, Charles. Go ahead.
The only way Aaron Rodgers is ever getting a first-round receiver is if he plays Madden and drafts him himself. Like, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Look, okay, there's two ways you can look at this. I'm going to side with both of you. It's like when your parents are fighting. You're like, I'm going to try and stay in the middle here.
Neutral corners.
You can definitely get good wide receivers beyond round one, particularly nowadays. There's no question. Look, Christian Watson, Sky Moore, George Pickens. There's going to be some talent that obviously goes beyond round one. I mean, look, go look at the Cincinnati Bengals. Love Jamar Chase, right? Some other wide receivers on that roster were not first-round picks, who turned out to be pretty good players. So it can be done. But that said, with the economics of wide receivers where this is going now, if you really want a wide receiver, you're probably better off getting them in round one because you want to have 5 years of control.
That fifth year.
And because, you get them in the second round, that means that they're going to start looking for an extension after year 3. Okay. And if they're looking
there'll be A.J. Brown and Deebo Samuel and DK Metcalf.
100%. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where this is going. Now, some teams will tell you now when you talk to them, they're like, you might as well throw control out the window. It doesn't matter anymore because if a player's good enough, they're looking for that extension after year 3 anyway. So it doesn't matter if you get them in the first, doesn't matter if you get them in the second. You're probably going to have to start working on an extension after year 3 anyway. But look, I can see the problem with Green Bay is that it's just been this like institutional imperative of like never taking a first round wide receiver. And, that I could see that being something that's frustrating to Aaron Rodgers. And the Devontae Adams situation, though, I mean, that was on Devontae and Rodgers knew it. He pretty much just said it. Like he thought, hey, if I came back in the fold, like maybe Devontae would change his mind and it'd work out a different way. It didn't. That's not on Brian Gutekunst, but you can't,
Charles,
Aaron Rodgers, listen, you can't sit there and watch Detroit, okay? Detroit, of all teams, move up that far to get Jameson Williams. You're sitting there and you're going, there's these other teams that are like making these aggressive moves to go, there's Howie Roseman's like, Howie Roseman's like, oh, maybe I wanted Jameson Williams. I lose out on, so I just go trade for A.J. Brown.
You're conveniently forgetting a lot of facts here. One is that all six of these receivers who went in the top 20, God bless them, good luck. They're not all going to pan out. Okay? No. Jameson Williams may not be Randy Moss or Calvin Johnson for Detroit. Maybe he will. Okay. He may not be. What round was Devontae Adams drafted in? For that matter, what round was Jordy Nelson drafted in?
But I already said that.
The problem with the Packers, but the problem with the Packers is not this institutional mandate that they don't draft a first-round wide receiver. The problem is this, wait for it, narrative around Aaron Rodgers that the reason he only, quote-unquote, has one Super Bowl is he doesn't have enough help. No, you don't have to say it. It's understood. It's unspoken. It's subconscious.
No, I didn't say that.
You don't have to.
You're right.
You don't say it either.
You don't.
That's you.
No.
Yourself there, player.
You're attaching.
You don't have to say
other
it.
people's narratives to the other two people.
It's too windy out here for a straw man to stand on its own.
You're feeding into it, Charles. Because if you can tell me, if you can show me empirical data that the only way you can get capable wide receivers is in the first round, I'll shut up. That's not the case. And if you can show me that every first-round wide receiver, I'm saying it. If you can show me that every first-round wide receiver pans out because he was taken in the first round, I'll shut up. History says that they're going to be bust among these wide receivers at all positions.
This is what I can't prove to you.
You don't have to take a receiver in the first round. This is what I have data on. Can I tell you that I have the data on? I have data on one thing.
You have more Hall of Famers in the first round than you do in the second round.
At wide receiver?
Okay. Overall,
overthinking.
you got a better chance of getting a good player.
Hey, James, look it up for us, please.
No, we already did it. We already did that. That's why I brought it up.
What's the number?
The number is you have more Hall of Famers in the first round than in the second round.
At wide receiver?
Overall. There are more.
At wide receiver.
You got a better
We're talking about
chance.
wide receiver.
I'm saying you have a better chance,
Okay.
Michael Smith, of getting a good player in the first round than you do in the second round, which is not to say you can't get a good player in the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, Brady sixth. I got all that. You can get them in other rounds. You have a better chance.
Tired.
And
it's tired.
We're in a city of chances.
It's tired. It
and
really
the
is.
odds and percentages, you got a better chance to get him in the first round.
So Brian Gutekunst, if he takes draft capital, makes an aggressive play for a wide receiver in the draft, if he goes up and that guy busts, oh, okay, well, at least I took a wide receiver in the first round.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Just so I want to make sure we were clear on that. Charles, you wrote about the Lamar Jackson situation. Both Michael and I do agree on this. In Baltimore, we trust. Lamar Jackson, maybe not so much, even if he already knew what time it was with Marquise Brown. We obviously have the issue of his lack of a contract extension. Is this a bad omen moving forward for this relationship, or is it just, hey, something he's just going to end up getting over and the Ravens will figure it out like they tend to always do?
There's layers to this one. I mean, there were clearly, when Eric DeCosta came out and said, it was complicated, I don't think he just meant it was complicated for him because this was a player that he liked and that he drafted or whatever. I think that Marquise Brown knows that he's coming up on a contract extension, and thus far his production has been, I don't want to say muted, but it's where it is. Like, he just cracked 1,000 yards this last season. It is not like a high volume passing offense. It's not, you're not playing in Green Bay where you can be a Devontae Adams. You're not playing in Kansas City where you can be a Tyreek Hill, and you need volume to get the max level extension that these other wide receivers are getting. Marquise Brown, I think, showed his cards a little bit when he came out and said that the system frustrated him. Well, what he means by that is he's playing in a system that's not going to maximize a number one wide receiver putting up all-pro, first-team all-pro caliber numbers. Okay, so there's some of it in terms of usage. There's some of it in terms of contract. I just thought it was interesting that Lamar Jackson, despite what now appears him having been read into the situation, at least somewhat, for him to take his thought process and put it out there publicly is a statement in itself. I mean, you can handle it behind closed doors, or you can do the WTF tweet. You can retweet other people's frustration. For him to do that, and also, by the way, there's this awkward slow play on a contract extension. That's not good. That's all bad for the situation. It's just, this is not what you want to be happening with Lamar Jackson if you truly do want to get an extension done with him. But I also agree with you guys. Baltimore, given the long enough timeline, you trust them. Like, they're probably doing the right thing here in the long term. But it's going to be hard for Lamar Jackson to sit there and see Hollywood have success in Arizona, which I assume he will because of the familiarity between he and Kyler.
My last question for you, Charles, is that green room. Let's go back to the green room. Regardless of position, tell me one guy who shouldn't be there. Like, you're like aghast. It's like this is a travesty that this player is in the green room for round two. Who's that guy? One guy.
Andrew Booth, probably the Clemson corner. I know he's had some moments where he hasn't always lived up to the billing, but I mean, I'm surprised, honestly, that he went through, because he was one of those guys that he's a corner out of Clemson. I think he fits not only performance, but he also fits measurables, the athleticism, everything brings to the table. He wouldn't have been anyone I thought would have gotten out of round one. So he's one. Obviously, look, David Ojabo as well, the Achilles injury. I guess I'm a little surprised that a team didn't look at David Ojabo and say, okay, we're looking at the healing of the Achilles and then the fact that he's a little raw. So that's 2 years that are probably going to be eaten up by healing and then starting to develop him. Now, when he goes in the second round, and I assume he's going to go in the second round, you're talking about teams basically drafting a player and knowing we're probably going to, if it works out the best case scenario, we're probably going to get 2 years of production out of a second round pick. So I was a little surprised he didn't come off in one. You know, Malik Willis, we talked a little bit about the disagreement on quarterbacks, but man, I'm telling you, there were definitely some GMs that were like, there's no way he gets out of round one. He did. so here we are when we're going to figure out who grabs him now in the second one.
Hey, let's just bring this wide receiver conversation kind of full circle and go back to where we started the show, which was discussing this kind of trend-ish thing of, you know, not only do you need an elite, if not, you know, more than capable quarterback to contend, as you know, Charles, that's just history. But gone are the days, long gone are the days of having a clear-cut number one wide receiver. Like, more and more teams seem to be going after 2 1s. Instead of like having just a guy on the other side, you want just as good on the other side. There's a lot of teams that have put together dynamic duos on the outside, and we saw 2 more teams do it last night with both Philadelphia and presumably Arizona with those 2 trades. But on the flip side, of course, is Green Bay, you know, that didn't pay the wide receiver. You know, Kansas City decided not to pay Tyreek Hill and move on and so on and so forth. So just how do you view the way teams are investing both cash and draft capital in not just 1 but 2 frontline wide receivers, if not more? You saw with the Rams adding Allen Robinson to go with Cooper Kupp. They're not just going with, hey, we just need somebody to take the pressure. They're going with like number 1-ish guys at the quote-unquote number 2 spot.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it makes sense because, you know, you have, if you're going to pay quarterbacks what you're going to pay them, you want to be able to give them the best possible tools to maximize that. Now we're starting to get into an area now, though, that I think, and this offseason really introduced it to us, where I don't know that they're going to be able to continue to do this much longer in terms of having those 2 really high-end guys. We'll see where the salary cap goes. Maybe you can. But so when you talk to teams that are saying we're not going to pay a wide receiver, you know, $25 million, basically, I think what you're seeing is you're starting to look at teams that are going to look at wide receivers like running backs, where they're going to say, great, let's go after the elite guys in the draft, or, you know, however we can procure them. But let's do it knowing we're probably only going to do 1 contract, and then we're going to start to look for a suitor to flip this player to, because we're not going to build with a $25 million wide receiver contract, or God forbid, you know, 2 $25 million contracts, because, you know, it's possible that there is going to be a team that's going to sit there and have 2 really elite top level wide receivers and have to pay both of those guys. I just can't see that ever being realistic. But, you know, we'll see how this continues to shake out, because it's obvious, it's very obvious. You have some general managers who are sitting there saying, we're in a time where there are more wide receivers than ever, where every year the draft is going to be filled with maybe 5 or 6 guys who could be first-round picks. It's crazy for us to sit here and think we want to pay a wide receiver 20. The way they look at it is, it's a max level contract now going to a position where there's a lot more availability than there is, say, a quarterback, right? There's not a ton of defensive ends out there all the time. There's not a ton of left tackles out there, but there are a ton of wide receivers out there. There's a ton of very productive wide receivers that can be had as young players. So I don't know where this is going. I think it's surprising, honestly, that we've seen as many teams step up and pay this money. I don't know how long that will last.
To the second guys, not just 1, but 2. Hey, man, you earn your money all the time. If nothing else, just for putting up with us. We appreciate you, Charles. Thank you, Charles. Refereeing. Like, you don't get paid to referee and know everything. You know, it's like, we appreciate you, man. Thank you.
I appreciate it, guys.
I'll see you later.
I'll see you guys next week.
Great stuff. See you, Charles. By the way, Michael, you played the game better, but I was a better team builder in Madden, by far. Better team builder. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.